Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. President Donald Trump worked as a fry cook at a Pennsylvania McDonald's, telling the media, "I've now worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala." Kamala Harris has rolled out a new digital ad as part of her strategy to bring black men to her camp. Recent polls are showing that black men are leaving Harris and instead voting for President Trump. This could be a game changer on November the 5th. A Marine Corps veteran says that actions of a Delta flight attendant just took my soul away when she was made to change shirts to remain on the flight. You might ask, well, what could have been so offensive? You're not going to believe this one. What about the story from Kentucky? A Kentucky man who had been declared brain dead woke up during his organ harvesting surgery. And Elon Musk says he'll give away $1 million per day between now and election. Some legal scholars say that his scheme is illegal. Here's the New York Post headline, Commander in Beef. Former President Donald Trump took on a new role as he cooked and served French fries to customers at a McDonald's yesterday in Pennsylvania, while, of course, dishing out plenty of jabs at Vice President Kamala Harris. It was one of his better stunts. Trump said that as he entered the establishment, "Hello, everybody. It's my first day at McDonald's. I'm looking for a job." Thousands of Trump supporters surrounded a McDonald's restaurant as the president spent the afternoon working as a fry cook after accusing Harris of lying about working at the fast food restaurant. He said, "I've now worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala at McDonald's." Of course, he's referencing the claim that Kamala Harris has made that she worked at a McDonald's. Trump has called her out on it. There's no evidence to support her claim that she did, actually, and she doesn't appear to be coming forward with any. Trump claimed that he also spoke with the McDonald's about Harris's claim and that she worked at the and whether or not she worked at the fast food restaurant. In a statement, he said she shouldn't lie about it. McDonald's confirmed 4 times that she never worked here. But let's not talk about it. It's an amazing business. It's an amazing country, and we're going to make America greater than ever before. That's when he put on his apron and he started cooking some French fries while talking to reporters about his call with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, raising the minimum wage, and what it was like working at McDonald's, and even wishing Kamala Harris a happy birthday, as it was her birthday over the weekend. Fox News digital reporter Brooks Singman joined Trump during his shift and said that he was great in spirits and was actually doing the cooking and giving customers their orders. Trump said, "I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs, and I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that you work." Think that was a big part of her resume and that you worked at McDonald's. He said, basically calling her out that she just made it up in order to appear like the ordinary person that voters can identify with. He was smiling, laughing as he cooked French fries, hand out orders. At one point, there's a photo of him standing in the drive-thru window as he's giving out orders as people are coming through. One of his surprise drive-thru customers was a family originally from Brazil who pleaded with former president to fix the United States and not let it become like their native country. The driver exclaimed in a video that was posted by Margot Martin, Deputy Director of Communications for Trump, when she realized that Trump was giving her her order. She said, oh my gosh, look at all the fake news over there," Trump pointed out at the drive-thru window. "You can take this right," the driver asked as she hands him the payment to Trump. "You know, this is compliments of Trump, okay? Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Please don't let the United States become Brazil. My native Brazil, please. We're not going to let that happen," he said. Harris Waltz's 2024 spokesperson Joseph Costello released a statement following Trump's cook shift, claiming Trump doesn't understand what it's like to work for a living. In the statement, they said, Today, Donald Trump showed exactly what we would see in a second Trump term, exploiting working people for his own personal gain. Trump doesn't understand what it's like to work for a living, no matter how many staged photo ops he does, and his entire second term plan is to give himself, his wealthy buddies, and giant corporations another massive tax cut. Vice President Harris, on the other hand, has a record of standing up for workers and taking on bad actors who rip people off, and she'll do the same as president. With only, 14 days, I guess, to election. Trump in Pennsylvania and several of the other battleground states seems to be polling very well. The Real Clear Politics average shows that he is 93% likely to win the Electoral College. Wow. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign has a new strategy, I guess, to lure the black men back to her camp. Now, we know that she has enlisted former President Barack Obama as he sort of chastised black men last week when he hit the campaign trail on her behalf. Harris released a new digital advertisement now that targets black men's love lives, insinuating that they'll be rejected by women if they don't have a plan to vote. The ad depicts a dating game in which a black man approaches a group of women who are holding balloons. They begin to ask him questions about himself, including how much he makes, how tall he is, and whether he works out. Here's the ad.
Hello, ladies. I'm Trey. It's good to be here.
What do you do and how much do you make?
I work in finance, making six figures.
How tall are you?
6'5".
Do you have a plan to vote in November?
Nah, not my thing.
So what you hear there is all of the women bursting their balloons. The man's answers get seemingly positive responses until one asks if he has a plan to vote in November. That's when they all start popping their balloons, which means he's rejected. Richard Hanania, who is president of the Center for Study of Partisanship and Ideology, says the new Harris-Walz ad tells black men that women will reject them if they don't vote. Memorable and works as an appeal to self-interest, he says. Other comments. One user wrote, Democrats continue to dehumanize and insult black men and try to shame and pressure them into only voting for them. Kamala's campaign doesn't even try to engage respectfully. Not all answers were sold on the content of the ad. Some argued that the ad only served to insult and dehumanize black men. You think it's going to be effective? You think black men are going to see this ad and they're going to think, oh, I better run over and support Kamala Harris? Another comment said, does the Harris-Walz team really believe this will convince anyone to vote for them? Another added, belittling and insulting. One user posted, I think this might have the opposite effect. You think? Of course, the ad comes as some have begun to speculate that Kamala Harris is struggling to win over the support of young black men, which is typically a dependable demographic for Democrats. Maybe not this year. According to one Howard University initiative on public opinion poll, 81% of black men say they plan to vote for Harris, and that sounds like a good number, 81%, though that number drops to 68% for black men under 50 years old, with 21% of that group indicating that they are going to vote for Donald Trump. Now, Joe Biden received in the 90th percentile of black men in 2020. Former President Barack Obama, of course, we saw him out on the campaign trail last week, again appealing to black men, arguing that at a rally in Pennsylvania that the group should have the same enthusiasm for Harris as they did for his campaigns in 2008 and in 2012. I think they may have gone a step too far with this. I'm not sure they're going to get the results or the response from black voters that they may have think they were. In other news, CBS is pushing back against President Trump's claim that 60 Minutes deceitfully edited its interview with Vice President Kamala Harris a couple weeks ago, dismissing the allegation as false in a statement released last night. Now, so far, CBS has been mum. They have said not a single thing. They have not responded to any of the questions, to any of the pushback. As you'll recall, Kamala Harris appeared with Bill Whitaker. It was a pretty good interview. I mean, he asked some pretty good questions. The problem they ran into was they released an excerpt to Face the Nation that had an answer to a question, and then when the full 60 Minutes interview was released, they had edited that, and they had a different answer to the same question, which has raised a lot of questions, as you can imagine. In their statement, they said, former President Donald Trump is accusing 60 Minutes of deceitful editing of our October 7th interview with Vice President Kamala Harris. That is false. 60 Minutes gave an excerpt of an interview to Face the Nation that used a longer section of her answer than that on 60 Minutes. Same question, same answer, but a different portion of the response, they said. You believe them? I'm a little suspicious of that. This year, I really thought I was going to have to boycott the holidays. I was going to lock myself away and not come out until 2025. But after finding PhD weight loss, you can bet I'll be at every holiday party I'm invited to. That's because PhD weight loss helped me take control with great confidence, support, and my new healthy body. The best part, PhD weight loss did it all without harmful drugs that keep you dependent on them to maintain your weight loss. It's a natural, medication-free approach to weight loss crafted to naturally diminish food-related thoughts, hunger, and cravings, making your weight loss journey more sustainable and enjoyable. Take it from me, I lost 33 pounds. The PhD weight loss program teaches you not just what to eat and when, but also how to think differently about food and finally let go of those cravings and get rid of the hunger naturally. Don't lock yourself away this holiday season. Call PhD Weight Loss today at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. You know, it seems like every other week or so we get some absurd story involving an airline where a flight attendant has either threatened to kick his passenger off or has called the police and escorted a passenger off. You know, you have to be real careful now when you board an airplane, because flight attendants have been given a lot of authority, and they love to use it now. And in the name of security, they'll have you arrested. They'll have you thrown off the plane. The old, customer service thing, to where you can question customer service that you're receiving. You can't do that anymore. Case in point, Delta is back in the news, and I'll have to say, Delta is my preferred airline. If I'm flying somewhere, and I'm going to be traveling several times in the next few weeks, it's all on Delta. Of course, you don't have a lot of choices. I mean, you have what? Delta, American, Southwest, United, and in our case, going out of the upstate of South Carolina, Delta is just typically the best choice for me. But in this recent incident, a Delta flight attendant sparked some outrage and some discussion about freedom of expression, military service, and the Delta corporate policies. Here's the story. A Marine Corps veteran, Catherine Banks, was removed from her flight for wearing a shirt aimed at raising awareness about veteran suicides. It happened on October 16th. She's a 22-year-old Marine Corps veteran. Ms. Banks boarded a Delta flight from San Francisco to visit her family. She was wearing a shirt that read, "Do not give in to the war within in veteran suicide." Let me read it to you again. Do not give in to the war within in veteran suicide. She was approached by a flight attendant who said that her message was threatening. Now, this is a message for military veterans. Suicide is very high among our veterans, sadly. She said that she was confused and taken aback that she was escorted off the plane. When she questioned the flight attendant about the removal, she learned that it was her shirt that had triggered the action. Despite explaining her military background, the flight attendant remained unsympathetic, she said. In a shocking turn, the flight attendant told Ms. Banks she could only return to her seat if she removed her shirt. She said she felt humiliated, pressured, but she complied by changing into a sweatshirt, a move that reflected the conflict between her right to express a critical issue and the airline's policies. Banks' shirt was part of the Till Valhalla Project's 22-a-day collection, highlighting the tragic statistics that around 22 veterans die by suicide every single day. 22 veterans commit suicide every day. With military suicides reaching these alarming rates, her message was one of advocacy and support for her fellow veterans, not a threat. Now, let me read to you, now that you know the context, let me read to you again. Her shirt simply said, in letters, it was a dark shirt with letters that said, "Do not give in to the war within," those internal things that are going on within you, those bad thoughts. And then it said, "End veteran suicide." Now, what could possibly be threatening about that? Delta Airlines later stated that the situation had been resolved and expressed gratitude for Banks' service. However, their policy allows for the removal of passengers based on attire deemed offensive or threatening, raising questions about how such policies are enforced and interpreted. See what I'm saying? If the flight attendant is offended by something you say or something you're wearing, they have all the power, and boy, do they use it. I mean, this incident just serves as a reminder of some of the how complex freedom of speech can be sometimes, especially in public places like airplanes. Now, I wonder if this flight attendant has ever objected to maybe a Black Lives Matter T-shirt or something like that. This whole story, I couldn't believe it when I'm reading it. I hope Delta, and there's just a little hint in the story that Delta had apologized to her. She hasn't said one way or the other. They owe her a big apology and all veterans an apology. And I hope that this flight attendant has been put back through some training. This is wrong. Another story that's a bit unsettling as well, out of Kentucky, that raises some questions about organ donation processes and medical ethics. Have you heard about this? In October 2021, Anthony Hoover was admitted to Baptist Health Hospital in Richmond, Kentucky following a drug overdose. Doctors assessed him, believed that he lacked any brain activity or reflexes, and recommended that life support be removed. His family was informed that he had consented to organ donation. Fast forward. Hoover's family made the difficult decision to honor this, which led to testing for viable, to make sure that his organs were viable. They even participated in a ceremony celebrating his life and future contributions as an organ donor, they said. The family was under the impression that the medical staff had followed protocol. As the surgery started, Hoover's sister, Donna Rohrer, noticed signs of life. His eyes opened and tracked movements. Initially told it was reflexive behavior, Rohrer later received shocking news. About an hour into the surgery, doctors confirmed that Hoover had awakened. This revelation has left the family grappling with disbelief and trauma. Yeah, I would think so. Wow. They were about to harvest his organs, and he's not really dead? Following the incident, the Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates, known as CODA, and Baptist Health both asserted that proper protocols were in fact followed, denying any pressure to harvest organs from living patients. There is this argument that sometimes medical staff can get a little too hasty in getting in harvesting the organs. Evidently, this may have been a case of that. The media attention on Hoover's case has sparked debates about organ donation. Currently, there's about 100,000 people on a waiting list waiting for an organ. And if you're one of those people waiting, I get it. You need that organ for you to continue to live a healthy and productive life. But boy, wow. This is scary, in fact. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Joe Biden's vice president, Kamala Harris, reportedly is not planning to campaign in person with Joe Biden in these final weeks leading up to the election day. This decision has raised some eyebrows, as you can imagine, especially as she seems to be distancing herself from the current administration, the administration that she serves as vice president of, while simultaneously trying to position herself as a candidate of change. We all know this is not working. Biden is expected to support Harris indirectly, according to statements, rallying his longtime supporters to back her campaign without appearing alongside her. She's ashamed of him. She doesn't want him to be seen because she's trying to turn the Biden-Harris administration, she's trying to eliminate the Harris part of that. She's trying to make people believe that, hey, I'm not Joe Biden. I will not continue his policies, which we know that she will. She has tried to be very vocal about her vision for a future, asserting that her administration would not merely continue Biden's policies, but would instead bring fresh ideas and perspectives. In interviews, she's emphasized her unique background and experience outside of Washington, as well as her willingness to invite ideas from various sectors, including Republicans, she claims. Now, the whole idea that some of the Republicans who are supporting her, and she's very proud of the fact that she has some of the former Trump administration officials, like General Kelly, John Kelly, who was a chief of staff, that these folks, what's her name, the former congressman, Liz Cheney, and others, that she can work with the Republicans. Senator Lindsey Graham, yesterday, slammed members of his own party who are supporting Vice President Kamala Harris, saying, well, let me just let you hear what Senator Graham is. A very contentious exchange on Meet the Press yesterday when Senator Lindsey Graham was asked about these so-called Republicans who are supporting Kamala Harris. Here it is.
I think they're totally wrong. It was Joe Biden who got us out of Afghanistan that led to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It was Kamala Harris, the border czar, that opened up our border to 10 million illegal immigrants running wild, women getting raped and killed, terrorists residing in our backyard. It was their decision to stop energy production, making us more energy independent. It was their decision to abandon Israel at their time of need when it came to weapons.
Senator, U.S. is making more energy than
so no,
at any
I think
point.
These generals are wrong.
They worked for Donald Trump.
You know what? I know,
they worked for former President Trump. These are former Trump administration
to every Republican
officials.
supporting her. What the hell are you doing? You're supporting the most radical nominee in the history of American politics. The Green New Deal, Medicare for all. She was the last person in the room before Biden decided to withdraw from Afghanistan. She was the border czar. She cast the tie-breaking vote for the Inflation Reduction Act that gives you high prices. What are you doing? You're trying to convince me that Donald Trump's rhetoric is the danger to this country. The danger to this country is the policies of Biden and Harris. Her fingerprints are all over this disaster, and I can't take 4 more years of this crap.
All right.
When you support her, you're supporting 4 more years of garbage policy.
Senator, we got a lot more to get through, so let me keep moving. I want to ask you about
what the hell are you doing as a Republican blessing this stuff?
And Graham's right, isn't he? His remarks came as he faced several questions, and that was sort of the tamer part of the interview, when moderator Kristen Welker was just really pushing Graham about some of the rhetoric that Donald Trump has had in previous weeks. Graham goes on to confront Welker, saying, hey, why don't we talk about what Kamala Harris is saying and what she's saying about Donald Trump? And is that rhetoric, does that not qualify as well? On an episode of Outkick podcast, Trump said, we have a bigger problem from within, and they hate it, adding that it's a narrative they don't like. Graham largely dismissed the comments, telling Welker, we're winning, and we're going to win not because of what Donald Trump's saying, but because of what they've done for 4 years. Now, when Trump says that we have an enemy within, and Welker seems to have a problem with that, he's talking about the extreme leftist Democrats that Kamala Harris represents. That is an enemy within, is it not? Is Kamala Harris and some of the radical leftists, are they not enemies within our country because they're wanting to take our country in a direction that's going to, in the end, be the downfall of our country? I mean, George Soros. Is George Soros an enemy within? I mean, you could go down the list. So when NBC seems to have a problem with Donald Trump talking about fighting the enemy within, that's the enemy within. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, they are enemies within because they are wanting to take our country in a direction that is going to be the end of the United States of America as we know it. And so, yes, we have to fight. And our fight starts today as early voting starts in South Carolina. So if you haven't planned to vote yet, go ahead and put that on your calendar for one day this week, over the next 2 weeks. Early voting starting today. And the way we stop the enemy within is we turn Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, we send them home. We send Kamala back to California. We send Joe Biden back to the beach. Because we do have an enemy within. Wow. Another example, case in point, a pair of Christian students, and if you have friends who are Christians, but yet they say there's no role for Christians in politics, if you have a church that doesn't want to talk about politics, doesn't want to let politics get involved, Christians as a demographic pretty much do not vote. We need every person who knows Jesus Christ as their Savior to go vote. A pair of Christian students told their story over the weekend, saying that they were trolled by Kamala Harris and mercilessly mocked by the crowd of her supporters at a rally at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse last week, and they insist that they were there for the right reasons. Here's the story. Grant Beth and Luke Pulaski. They're both juniors at the school. They told Fox and Friends that they felt persecuted akin to Jesus and his early followers after they shouted such things as Christ is King when the vice president turned presidential candidate started talking about abortion rights. So they're at the rally. She starts talking about abortion rights. They start shouting, Christ is King. One of them said that Harris sarcastically waved to him and gave him an evil smirk as he held up the cross around his neck and pointed to her while being booted with his pal. Here's the exchange.
I would say the first thing I want to bring up, this is our first time taking an interview with anybody, and I think it's important because this is our raw, untold story. There's a lot that happened off camera that we said at the protest, while we were protesting. And I guess we could start off with after she talked about overturning Roe v. Wade and Donald Trump, I yelled out to the crowd that abortion is the sacrament of Satan. And when I said that, I deeply do believe that as a Christian. And about 10 seconds go by, and that's when the video of my friend Grant and I proclaiming that Christ is Lord and Jesus is King, when we said that. And I think it's important to say this is a small venue, and we were about 20 to 30 yards away from Kamala at this point. There's a lot of controversy that says she wasn't talking to us or we left, we didn't get kicked out. Well, I can speak on Grant and I's behalf. On video, Grant's getting pushed and shoved. And there's about 5 seconds after or before she tells us to go to the smaller rally down the street, you can see on the video she waves. She was actually waving to me. I took this cross off my neck that I wear, and as we were getting asked to leave, I held it up in the air and waved at her and pointed to her, and she looked directly in the eye, kind of gave me an evil smirk. And I just want to clear that up and confirm that she 100% was talking to us. Mm-hmm. And there's other controversy that says we left. We were getting shouted at, pushed, assaulted, screamed at. So we were walking away, but there was about 3 attendees there, volunteers, that kicked us out with badges or whatever they had.
They did not want these young men there who were proclaiming Christ is King, Jesus is Lord, when she's talking about an abortion. Now, the story goes that eventually she paused her speech saying, "You guys are at the wrong rally." When there was applause from the crowd, she said, "I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street." That moment went viral on social media. Harris's speech centered in part about the economy and other developments of the campaign, but at this particular point, she was talking about abortion and a woman's right to do whatever it is she wants to do with her body, if it means killing the unborn. She said, "When Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law." Wow. And they try to shout these 2 young men down who were there saying that Christ is King, professing their Christian faith. You may recall that Harris opted against attending the Al Smith Memorial Dinner, which is the famous annual Catholic charity event in Manhattan last week. She sent a pre-recorded video skit instead. The dinner has been attended by presidential candidates on both sides of the aisle for more than 4 decades, and she couldn't do it. She did not want to be there in a room full of Catholics. Wow. And this woman wants to be president of the United States? That's the enemy within that Lindsey Graham was talking about and that President Donald Trump has referred to. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Email's always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself, if you're looking for a new appliance, to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. On our text line, Ray writes, "Good day, Joey. We continue to hear about the gangs of illegal aliens, including the Venezuelans, who are terrorizing folks at Colorado and New York. In the Seneca, South Carolina area, it's sometimes difficult to hear English spoken in the markets. Do we have South American gangs in the upstate? And by the way, any ideas how many illegal aliens have been shipped to our area by Biden and company? Vote today." You're right, Ray. Today is the first day of early voting in South Carolina, so plan to vote. And you know, I asked you last week, I asked you on Friday, should I vote early? Many of you have been encouraging me. You've been texting me. You've been emailing me that I should vote early. I'm one of those somewhat traditional type guys. I like to vote on election day. But many of you made some pretty compelling reasons on why I may decide to vote early. You've got me thinking about it. I'm still open to suggestions. Text them, email them. joey@joeyhudson.com. Paul writes on the text line, "It's disappointing to have to filter the garbage from the media outlets, even Fox. What outlets do we trust? I have a few. Joey Hudson, Daily Wire, Ted Cruz, Ben Ferguson. Well, thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. I'm glad I made your list. I'm glad you listened to the podcast and the radio show. Yeah, Ben Ferguson's a great guy, young guy. I talked with Ben back at the back in Milwaukee at the RNC. Seems like forever ago. I've enjoyed watching Ben's career in radio and podcasting. Texter, this is Mr. Thomas in Morganton, North Carolina. You become a regular. Thank you. Appreciate your messages. Says, hey Joey, Friday you said you wanted to know our thoughts on you voting early and that we may be able to persuade you to do something. You've openly admitted that you don't agree with it. I agree with you on voting on Election Day, but I believe this year I'm probably going to vote early as I'm self-employed and sometimes scheduling can be problematic. But when you say you could be persuaded if we voiced it, it makes it sound like you are for sale. Sorry to be blunt because I really do enjoy you and I agree with most everything. If you believe that Election Day is a day, vote on Election Day. Well, thank you. Well, I'm just saying that I'm open to the idea. I don't think it means that I'm for sale. I think it means that I'm somewhat flexible. And the argument many of you have made, and it's the argument that some of my political friends have made, is that we want to bank as many votes as early as possible. And let me tell you the reason that most of my friends in the Republican Party who are working day to day in this, they want us to vote early so they can mark our name off of the list and they can concentrate on those who have not voted. And that makes sense to me. As someone who's worked in a lot of campaigns over the years, campaigns, you've got your voter list and you're sending them mail, you're calling them, you're emailing them, you're texting them, and if you know for sure that they've already voted, you can cross their name off and you don't have to spend resources on trying to persuade them to vote if they've already voted. So that makes sense. I get that. And that's why I'm thinking about maybe voting early. I'll let you know. Texter, Joey, I'm a resident of New York State. I agree. Please vote early. Thanks and God bless. Appreciate your Just the Truth podcast. Well, thank you. I appreciate you listening as well in upstate New York. What a beautiful area. A lot of people just think of New York and they think of New York City. There's a lot more to New York than just New York City. Some beautiful mountains, and I love the area of Long Island, the beaches. So thank you. I appreciate you. Texter, this is Chris, says, good morning, Joey. I say vote early. Get your vote in now so your vote cannot be stolen. I know a lot has changed in our voting system since the last election, but I don't trust the Democrat Party at all. They will cheat to get what they want, no matter the cost. There's another vote for me to vote early. Texter, Phil, Joey, it's been 7 days since I applied for FEMA's $750 assistance. Still nothing, all caps, deposited and no communication from our wonderful government. Texter, this is Katrina. Hey, Joey, my father used to joke, vote early and often. He had no idea he was predicting the future. Please vote early, Katrina says. We started a few days ago because we worked the polls, but everyone needs to show support early and encourage others. We can't start out election day behind. Would Clemson let the other team start a quarter early? Let's get going, South Carolina Patriots. All right, Katrina, thank you. I'm serious. You have just about convinced me that I need to go ahead and go vote. I'm still open. Send me your text. Send me an email, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of voting, have you heard about Elon Musk promising to hand out more cash to voters who sign his online petition? At an event in Harrisburg over the weekend, Musk announced that he'd give away $1 million every day to a registered swing state voter who signs a petition from his America PAC supporting free speech and the right to bear arms. He then handed out the first $1 million check to a rally attendee named John Dreer. Previously, Musk had offered $100 to any Pennsylvania voter who signed the petition and $47 for every referral from a swing state voter. Musk has already contributed more than $75 million to the America PAC in support of Donald Trump. Now, he promised to give away that $1 million a day to swing state voters between now and Election Day. The question has been raised, of course, is this legal? A lot of people questioning that. Not according to a UCLA law professor, Rick Hasen, who said on his website, Election Law Blog, that the giveaway is illegal for multiple reasons. He says, essentially what you're doing is you're creating a lottery. You're creating a lottery where the only people eligible to participate in the lottery are people who registered to vote or are registered to vote, and that's illegal, he said. Now, what do you want to think? What do you want to bet that this Rick Hasen is a Democrat? He's from UCLA. What do you want to bet? He's probably a Kamala Harris supporter, and he doesn't want Elon Musk's money going to anything that might support Donald Trump or encourage people to vote for Donald Trump. I did a little quick search on this guy, and I can't find anything that would tell you his political leanings, his political persuasions. But I'm going to bet you this guy's a Democrat. He says that he points out that Musk's America PAC website states that only registered voters in certain states are eligible. And Musk has said that. Only people in the swing states, in the battleground states, because he's trying to turn people out in those states. Elon Musk, he's not being deceptive about it. He's very upfront. He's saying, if you live in one of these states and you participate in my petition, you sign my petition, you're a registered voter, you could possibly win this money. This attorney says it's against the law to pay or offer to pay people to register to vote, and lottery chances count as a form of payment. Wow. That's what we're up against, folks. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.